Well, hello everybody. Hope you're all doing fantastically well. It's Connor here. We are back with another episode on One Leeds. We're back here with another. It's another sort of like look ahead or look back, I should say. Look back and look ahead to what's gone on with Leeds United in sort of the past 24 hours. Make sure you're slapping a like on the video as always, everybody. We're back downstairs. We're back in the studio, and we're here to be speaking about everything. As I've said, Leeds United. Please make sure you get your comments in as well. We've got bonus bits on the Patreon. We've got merchandise in the description below. And yeah, everybody, how are we doing on this Sunday morning? We're back, people. It's football, isn't it? And we're back. And a Leeds game that has involved 6 goals. And you think, oh, okay, a routine sort of 2-0 win, 2-1 win, 3-0 win at a push, 3-3. And it's just classic, isn't it? It is absolutely classic. We shout out to all of you in the building. Really appreciate you all stopping by this morning. This is the 3 things. This is the sort of supplementary episode we do to the content yesterday, which is a bit of a reflection. We've taken time away. We've had a look at a few things. And we're here to talk about maybe things that need to change, things that already need to change. We're trying to get rid of any sort of hyperbole, of which I try not to touch on in this channel when it comes to real reactionary stuff. For me, a lot of it is constant thought processes, of which you guys will 100% recognize. And I feel it's shared in the comment section. So what I would hope that you guys, if you're new to the channel, would sort of not understand as such, but hopefully I'm able to get across is that this isn't a sort of take on yesterday. A lot of it is takes on general Leeds United things that need to change, or things that are good as well. It's not just negative per se things that need to change, but there's a lot of things yesterday that annoyed me, if I'm honest. But there was a lot of things that were very good yesterday, and we have to touch on that. And I want to do that, everybody. I don't just want to focus on the negatives. Leeds scored 3 goals at home. We saw some really good performances from certain individuals, and we do need to focus and take that away, because we've got another 45 games to go. And yesterday wasn't indicative of our entire season. It wasn't just it wasn't symptomatic. I think there were a few bits of which we've seen before, which do need to change. But are they micro bits? Are they things that Leeds can change and then move on and go into a bit of a clearer headspace when it comes to maybe certain personnel, certain strategic aspects, and certain managerial constants that we seem to have throughout this period of time. Okay, Sid's in the building. Morning, Connor. A conversation is needed about Mez in goal. And John says, before everybody, just smash a like on the show so far. I'd really, really appreciate that, because it means that it just gets to a few more people, which is what we want in the Leeds United sphere. Sorry, everyone, just making sure everything's a little bit decent on this side. Yeah, we're streaming on Facebook. We should be now as well, which is good stuff. But yeah, right. Let's touch on the obvious, shall we? Let's touch on Illan Meslier, and let's touch on why we were all sort of maybe a little bit bugged out by him in particular yesterday, of which I think the whole fan base was. I put a tweet out there of which I was expecting, because naturally you do, everyone. If I put a tweet out on One Leeds, or if I put a tweet out on Connor McGilligan, whatever, I expect probably 4 comments of which are just abuse, and then maybe 2 of which just disagree with what I'm saying, and the rest are normally positive and engaging and good interaction. And we didn't get a lot of the former there when it came to Illan Meslier. It was literally just pure agreement in terms of him in net. And it feels like there's a common consensus of this guy. And we have to have a pure conversation, as Sid said, about him. And one of the comments back I did get, which was maybe like a little bit of a disagreement, which is fine, obviously, absolutely fine. As I've said, with disagreements, or an alternative opinion, it's absolutely fine. I'll accept that. I can be astonished at what you're saying, and I can completely disagree, or maybe agree. Give me a different thought process there, but different thought process are always welcome. With Illan Meslier, this particular individual said, "Well, he was at fault for the first one, but can you put him at fault for the next 2 then?" And it was almost like, "Well, you're saying this about Meslier. What about the other 2 goals?" And that was quite right, because Leeds conceded 3 goals. Now, can you blame him for all 3? I think there's an argument that you can look at him for 2. But there's build-up play that breakdown. We have to look at Jayden Bogle for the first goal as well. What the hell was he doing? How on earth has that? When you look at basic defending, how is Jayden Bogle there? Like, it's unbelievable how his defensive shape was so wrong there. But ultimately, it gets through to Ilan Mele. It's a tame effort from Lang, a really, really tame effort. It was either Lang or Lane. I can't remember. There's two of them on the pitch, wasn't there? And defensive error, but your goalkeeper is the last line of defense. The last line of defense of which you think to yourself, right, mistake by the defense, but the keeper's there, and ultimately that's why it's one of the most important jobs in football, because the goalkeeper determines if the ball goes in the back of the net or not. There's still one other man that can prevent a goal happening. Now, why is Meslier a problem, and why, if he is to be replaced, it won't happen? We all know that, but we can have a discussion about it. Why is it a problem that he made him vice captain, of which we spoke about in pre-season? There was concrete interest from Marseille. Apparently, De Zerbi was actually in talks with Ilan Mele, so I don't understand how has his head been switched around. I don't really understand that, to be quite honest with you. And that was from the French side as well, good reputable sources. So he was evidently maybe considering a move, at least we can say. And at Leeds, it's just, I've never, aside from a Bielsa season with him, and we've had these conversations so many times, but aside from a Bielsa season with him, obviously we saw the really impressive performance he had in his debut at Arsenal away. I think he's been distinctly below average and has cost Leeds so many times. Now, goals prevented is like this quantitative metric that is put up there that's really dead simple. It's not XG and minus XA equals XAG. I'm not saying that's a metric, by the way, but I'm saying for a lot of people, it can be quite complicated. All of these new modern age sort of analysis points. But the really basic one is goals prevented, right? And his goals prevented last season was -5, okay? Which essentially is saying he conceded 5 goals, essentially, which he should have prevented. Okay, he should have prevented. And you had people like Hermansen, and you had people like Johansson, and people like Carl Rushworth at Swansea, who were in the plus regions in terms of they've saved their team goals, massive, massive goals, and they were in the plus region. Ilan Meslier was the only keeper in the top 6 who was where he was, which was, I think, was 13th, 14th. So if you're a data team at Leeds, this isn't me getting on his back, guys. These are genuine facts, and it's not me saying facts as in because it's my opinion. These are actual facts that you can get on the internet. His save percentage was mid to upper 60s, which isn't good. It was mid-table again, isn't good. And when you look at a team that's performing top 3, top 2 level, and you've got an outlier who's 10th, and then for goals prevented, he's bottom half. That's a huge outlier. So for a data team at Leeds to not address this, I find it really staggering. We had a conversation, me and my old man, and I said, look, are you happy with the business done? Obviously, you guys know how positive I am about what the 49ers are doing, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And the first thing my old man said was, what about the goalkeeper? Is there anything going on with the goalkeeper? That's all my dad says. And it's because, in his opinion, it's always you build from the back, and it's always been the same. And he's right. If you build from the back, if you've got a good goalkeeper, a solid defense, which is what the goalkeeper is part of, the defense, the back 5. If you're playing a back 4, if you've got a goalkeeper there who's solid, you look at every promoted team, even if we look at last season, the promoted teams have got a good goalkeeper who keeps them in games. Vladke at Ipswich, Hermansen. They have good, solid, quality goalkeepers. We've got a few mistakes in them. We saw that when we played up against Hermansen. Not great at playing out from the back, but the fundamentals are really good with Hermansen. And that's the problem with Ilan Meslier. And how many times, whether it be Premier League, Championship, have we seen that last season? So automatically, he goes to the bottom of the metric again. Goals prevented. Looked at it yesterday. Because that is the most basic save he can have. I don't understand how he's got that so wrong. No, footwork's fine. He's in the right position. The ball is hit straight at him with not a large degree of pace at all. And his hand goes back and it goes in the back of the net. And I'm thinking, well, we can blame Bogle. And 100%, listen, I think Bogle had a bit of a 50-50 game yesterday. I really do. Defensively and offensively. It's exactly, to be fair, what Sheffield United fans were saying. So, yeah, fair enough. As I say, I'm not going to blame Bogle because of one game. I think that is mental. Absolutely mental. We're judging Ilan Meslier on 4 seasons worth of this stuff, as we judge Patrick Bamford on 8 seasons worth of sort of football, of which we now judge, and we just know what we're going to get. Patterns, trends. This is Patrick Bamford. This is Ilan Meslier. This is the quality of goalkeeper we've got right now. So I think that is fundamentally a huge problem with this side. And we knew it anyway, but I genuinely believe this season, I don't know, you keep the ball away from the goal as we did last season. It keeps away the problems that we have because you're keeping the ball away from him. Yeah, he made some decent saves yesterday, of which maybe with his legs, some cracking saves. Leicester made some brilliant saves, but if you look at over the course of the season, way more mistakes than positive outlooks on it. So I've waffled a little bit too much. I'm just going to get a few of your comments in as well, see what you guys think on this. But the metric, which is really concerning because it's up to the goalkeeper, is the save percentage. It's up to him, and it's the goals prevented because it's up to him again. He's the last line of defense. 1v1. What can you do? And the other thing as well, I wanted to touch on with Illan Meslier was a bit of his distribution yesterday. There was way too many times where he put Leeds in dangerous situations. There was one where Portsmouth got onto the counter-attack. They had a shot which just went wide. He tries to chip the ball to Junior Firpo. Junior Firpo has men in front of him, and they're closing him down. Don't put him. Don't give him a hospital ball like that. And he's done it, and he loves a hospital ball. And just the latter one, everyone, I wanted to speak on as well. Did anyone feel confident? And it's not Mellier's fault at all, but did anyone feel confident? Obviously, the build-up happened. Leeds gave away the penalty. Bogle's fault again, of which, in my opinion, it was a penalty. I thought he was all over. He was all over Sadie, and he missed the original header, which he did frequently in that game. I thought Bogle had more of a poorer game than a good game yesterday, but defensively didn't look great. And that was Bogle's fault, gave away the penalty. But you know what, everybody? A penalty is 50-50. You can get in the player's head, last minute of a game, huge penalty. And Illan Meslier has now faced 23, conceded 22 for Leeds United. Let me remind you, this man is 6'7", right? And before the penalty was even took, he'd already dived. It was and I just think to myself, if we look at any keeper in the division, have they got a ratio like that? One penalty save at Leeds United after facing as many as that isn't good enough. And it's not his fault, but we've got to see more. Like, can we practice penalties when he's in? Can someone go up against him? And can we have shots fired? Can there be a different technique? Can he stand up for longer? I'm not a goalkeeper coach, but can he get in maybe the penalty taker's head a little bit? Can there be a few verbals? Can there be something of which we see a development in Illan Mellier's game when it comes to penalties and just in general? So easy to just play a penalty past him. So, yeah, a few things there when it comes to that. I want to get the gauge of the chat, everyone. I want to hear what some of you guys are saying on Illan Meslier. Oipa says, same old frailties about Meslier again. A few discussions about Rodon as well. I think Rodon's supposed to be okay. What we learned that Farke hasn't learned, same as me, talented players with no direction and no game management. Formerly Sunny says, Raksaki bid. I'm not seeing that, mate. Is that official? But yeah, funny how different players get different reactions. If Bamford missed the chance that Joseph missed, people would have been at his throat. I get that, Matt, but once again, I think what we've learned, and we'll get onto this, is that's Joseph's first game. Yeah? First full game at the start of the season or whatever. Bamford's had 8 years of this at this club. And he's had previous as well at Norwich and Middlesbrough and other clubs of which they've gone. He's rubbish. Genuinely. One good season at Middlesbrough. Mateo Joseph's been unbelievable in pre-season. So I don't think you can direct it to just a chance missed. People make assumptions about Pat Bamford because of years gone by. Mateo Joseph, it's a fresh season for him, and he's 19. Give him a chance, and then we can say, buddy, Joseph's never going to score these. We're going to get into Joseph in a little bit as well, because I thought he had a really good game. Melee in general doesn't have a lot to do in games. We are normally quite solid, but when it matters, and that's the key, mate. I completely agree with that. Defensively, we're a mess yesterday. Bogle's position was poor all game. Rodon got caught and couldn't pass water. Needs work. Yeah, 100%. I think there's a genuine. There's a reason why I call him Messi Meslier. His footwork and position are terrible. It feels like a lot of you are saying the same thing, which is interesting there. Meslier in the Prem was actually good. He thinks it's too good for the Championship. I don't know if he was good in the Prem, Ruby, to be honest with you. I wouldn't agree with that. But yeah, I can sort of see why people think that it was glossed a little bit in the Premier League season. But let's move on to something positive. Okay, let's move on to something positive. So for me, just to encompass that and to just sign it off, for me, genuinely, and we've said this from the start of the channel. Will it happen? No. He's vice captain. Why is he vice captain? I genuinely have no idea. You know, I just don't get that. Just give it. You can give it to anyone in the team. You know, give it to anyone else. I really don't mind. Is there anybody else? Yeah, there are other people who we can give it to. You know, I don't know why he's giving it to Melee, but there you go. So he's not going to get sold. But this is the problem with relying on certain individuals that don't pay you back. You know, if you rely on Pat Bamford, he's not going to pay you back. You're going to lose your job. Elan Melee, there is a potential that you lose your job. Massive games, can he be relied on? No. That's a big problem. It's a big problem. But they're seemingly focusing on Melee, keeping Melee. Farkas said that he's the best keeper in the league last season, or he's one of the best, which is absolute mama language bollocks. There's no way he is. But we've got to back him. We've got to support him. But nothing's going to change with Elan Melee. We know we're going to see these results week in, week out. And it does worry me if games are tight. It really does worry me if games are tight. And quite rightly, in terms of what you said as well, the defense and what Jay said, the defense was awful. Bogle's defensive work was shocking. Going forward, he looked good. He looked sprightly, but awful at the back. Rodon, one of his worst games I've seen. Strauch, I thought, looked good, to be honest with you, playing out from the back. I thought, you know, obviously the penalty was fantastic. Winning a few headers. I thought Strauch looked good, probably the best of Bad Bunch. I thought Firpo was okay, but once again, positioning again. But yeah, 100% agree with what you guys are saying there. Okay, let's move on to a positive anyway. Mateo Joseph. So I hear what Matt's saying there in terms of the chance that he missed. Okay, massive chance. Massive chance. Took it really well. I thought the defender went down, didn't he? This is in the 6-yard box. Mateo peeled off the defender, held his ground. First touch was brilliant. Set him up. Defender couldn't get back to it. Was completely off balance. And he hit it too true, didn't he? He hit it too true. Very similar with Nonso. First one where he hit the bar. Honestly, I don't know if Nonso missed that one where he hit the bar. He's about 6 yards out. Smack the bar, hit it. Just place it. Place it. You don't need to hit it that hard. Obviously, deflected over the bar. Leeds get another corner. And we can't sort of get past that, everybody, by the way. I was hitting the woodwork 3 times in the first 10 minutes. But that's why you've got to take your chances, clearly, you know, because it's not just the quality at this level, but it's just Leeds, isn't it? But Mateo Joseph, I thought throughout the game, he answered a lot of questions. I thought his hold-up play was excellent. Every time the ball came to him, he was holding off big, burly centre-backs. He had a real battle, didn't he, with the blonde-haired lad, Towler or something like that. Really good battle, was winning free kicks. And it was the messy side of the game of which if Perot was up there, if Rutter was up there, we'd all be looking at that and thinking, they're not holding the ball up well. They're not linking play. Perot wouldn't be able to do that as the number 9 anyway, because he's not that type of player. And I thought the pace of which he was doing things was really good. Hold it down, chest, lay it off, spin. Yeah, that's what he was doing all the time. But if you noticed, everybody, what he was struggling with, in my opinion, yesterday, was Joseph was having to come toward the ball, which you do not want him doing. You do not want him doing. You want him spinning off the back constantly. You want him on the last line of defence. There was one ball where Firpo in the first half played a lovely ball in between the left back and the centre back. Joseph was there, right on the back. And I know you've got to mix your game up a little bit. I know you've got to come toward the ball and to then go back, to then spin off the centre back. But I'd have loved it if Leeds were looking in behind more often. And that's been risky. That's been brave. I do have to pull it back to Jorginho Rutter at points. If he just gets his head up at points, and Dan James is very, very much the same as this, but Rutter's on another level technically. If Rutter just gets his head up a little bit, I feel sometimes he's too entrenched in this battle, you know, getting the ball through. And if he just looks up, beefs the ball, you know, gets his head up, he's got an opportunity constantly to play that ball between the fullbacks because Joseph's there wanting it all the time. And I felt yesterday, and this was a systematic problem. This was a Leeds problem. Joseph was coming toward the ball to fend off the fullbacks. And that's okay if you've got runners. You know, if you've got Dan James going that way, Nonso going that way, spinning off, and they're sort of taking that striker role. The problem is when Joseph's winning it, as he's holding the ball up there, passing it back, there's no runners. So you've literally got Leeds exactly where Portsmouth want them, just in front of the defence. The whole back four can see Leeds' front line because no one's spinning off. You want Joseph spinning off in behind that defence, beating the offside trap. That's where you want him. That's where he's dangerous. So, yeah, I thought, but a lot of his game was really, really good in terms of the physicality side of it. And that is the type of game I wanted to see. I wanted to see if he could do it. And in the back of my mind, I knew he could because he'd done it against Valencia and he'd done it against Schalke and Hanover. But I wanted to see if could do it in a Burley Championship game. And he did that. He proved to me that the physicality side of the thing, the movement side of it, where he wants to be spinning off, but he can also do the other dirty work, the athleticism as well. When he's constantly, there's a variant of options that he can provide as a striker. I think there's a really, really good level of player in there. Do you know what I'd have loved to have seen? I'd have loved to have seen him grabbing that ball for that penalty, though. And I don't know if there's a hierarchy order there. Strout put it in the back of the net. Fantastic, of course. But I want my number 9 to be taking penalties. You know, I want Mateo Joseph, to be fair to him, as Bamford would, he's got that confidence and that cocksureness to do it. He shouldn't, but he has that confidence, which is fair play to Pat. I think what we need to see with Joseph is him grabbing that ball in pressure moments and saying, right, this is mine. This is my penalty, you know, because if Perot was on the pitch, he'd be taking it as well. Joseph, for me, should have taken that penalty, but he was unlucky not to get on the score sheet yesterday. Maybe a little bit of nerves at the fact that it's his first championship game and it's a packed out Ellen Road and he just needs to forget he's 19. Let's not forget, you know, and Matt, I sort of get what you're saying, mate, but I am not comparing Joseph to Bamford. You know, Bamford had missed that chat. Bamford misses so many chances. Bamford, Jesus, we've got a log sheet of what Bamford's missed. Joseph's been sharp in pre-season. I think maybe a few nerves yesterday, and you could tell that, you know, it was a chaos game, and I think maybe it got to him a little bit in terms of probably him expecting something a little bit different in terms of a calming Leeds United win, but we don't do it the easy way, do we? So let's get a few of your comments in, everyone. When you talk about closed body all the time, Connor, look at Pro on the ball. How's he taking that number 10 with his poor ability? Yeah, I think, to be honest, Anthro, but I look at it more with Peru, I should say. I think the beautiful thing is when he had space yesterday, he played that lovely ball into Aronson, didn't he? Open body approach, direct. I like that. And that's why I think Peru did okay when he came on yesterday. Too many touches, mate. It's not just about the closed body, open body stuff. He just takes too many touches. And that is the beauty of Rothwell. And that is going to be the third point of which we're going to speak about Rothwell when he came on. But in particular, I did quite like, I mean, there was loads of space. Leeds broke the lines and their sort of defensive sort of organisation went out the window, didn't it, when it felt like Leeds then got the third. But Perot was direct and he did have a little open body approach there. But I think the problem with him, mate, is in that number 10 is too long. Take two. And that was the problem with Leeds yesterday, wasn't it? Why do we take 6 touches when we can take 2? 7 touches when we can take 1? Just play the ball. And then they play the same ball, don't they? They play the same ball. So it just needs to be quicker. And this was the whole thing last season, everybody. That's why people are getting frustrated. And I understand it on Twitter, on YouTube, on Instagram, or whatever. It's because it's that similar vibe that we're getting from last season. Decision-making in the final third, composure, okay? And then it's also the time we take on the ball at points is just so frustrating when it could be real quick and incisive and teams couldn't deal with us. When we were quick in that first 10 yesterday, they didn't know what had hit them. They had no idea what had hit them. Mike Tyson first round. That's what it felt like. It was just, they were like, what on earth is this? Is this championship? Is this the next level? We were bopping them around. The crowd was on it. They were getting sucked into an 8-0 defeat. And then for some reason, we did the same thing as we do under Daniel Farke. We drop off as soon as we get the first, which allowed Portsmouth to get into the game. And this is why people are getting a similar vibe to what's gone on last season and why we're looking at the manager as well. I Self-Lord and Master says Farke needs to have a word with Rutter. He is cancelling out attacks with his ball hogging. Rothwell to play before Rutter at 10. Yeah, I don't think that's a bad shout, to be honest. Gruev looked pretty lost, if I'm honest. Didn't look comfortable. But yeah, as I Self said there, you know, you look at Rothwell, and we have to discuss him. I think as an advanced state, he'd be really good. And the reason I say that is because I think in that position, that offensive stride, that offensive phase of the pitch, he's so quick. He's so quick. Gets the ball, moves it. He saw it yesterday. Wants it. Give him the ball. Quick. Give me the ball. Quick. Crew's the exact same. I thought Charlie Crew in preseason gets the ball in those defensive periods. One touch, bang. One touch, bang. One touch, bang. I absolutely love that. And in this modern game, if you can do that effectively, and if you can do that going forward, if you can be direct, if you can just be thinking in that phase, I'm going to get the ball and I'm going to move it quickly. You are going to get all of your best players having mass amount of chances. And the beautiful thing about what Rothwell does in any phase of the pitch, you go back to his days at Blackburn when he was maybe a little bit more advanced. Bournemouth bought him as that player. 35 appearances for Bournemouth, and they like to play him a little bit more advanced. Southampton didn't utilize him enough, and I think they confused his positioning a little bit. I don't know where he'd be best at, and I think there's a genuine look at Rothwell. I was mentioning this to my mates yesterday, being further up, genuinely further up. Just get him the ball in these positions. He'll have a strike on goal constantly. We've seen that. I've seen that even in pre-season. Really good at set pieces, which fucking hell, everybody, set pieces yesterday. Oh, my Lord. What, 12 corners? Did any of them go in? Did we have, apart from Ampadu, which unlucky, really good, but did we get close to anything when it came to those corners? No, because the delivery is always a bit lapsed. But Joseph, I'm really enthused with what I saw yesterday, I have to say. Changes we can make. This is why on this channel I don't think we're negative. I do not think we're negative on this channel because we offer solution. I think Joseph showed a lot of really, really good moments in terms of a striker role. Ilan Mele needs replacing. There's your solution. Will they do it? No, but he needs replacing. Okay. If you're going to persist with him, they have to work with him. They have to work with him. They have to work with him when it comes to penalties, going down too quickly. They have to work with him when it comes to these just fundamentals, talking as a goalkeeper to the back line, not looking so meek and mild, not looking terrified. And ultimately, shot stopping. Shot stopping is a massive problem. Distribution needs working on as well, aside from those back two. The back line, he's fine with passing it 5 to 7 yards. He's fine. But I could be fine with that. Okay? Your real task is to get it to the midfield third. Can you get it to the final third as well, accurately, in the right situation? When you're looking ahead and this play's not been marked, can you find that man? Can you find that man quickly? Okay, so solutions are there. Another solution, okay? Joe Rothwell. Joe Rothwell has to be involved. He has to be involved. Gruev, I thought, and we're not even having a conversation about Ampadu, because Ampadu's in the midfield all every day of the week, twice on a Sunday. Gruev, I thought in the first bit of the game, genuinely, I was like, oh my God, it's a bit of a different Gruev here. He looked further forward. I thought he was, every pass was a little bit more direct. And then, but then I think to myself, is this him feeling a little bit more confident when Leeds are on top? Portsmouth started getting into the game and suddenly safety's on again. The handbrake is nearly ripping the car off here. The handbrake's on, the safety's on, and suddenly when Portsmouth are in the game, they're showing a bit of something. He's passing it sideways. He's going lateral. There's the safe option. And I wonder with Gruev, when the going's good, and he's only a young lad, but when the going's good, it seemingly feels with him that he really gets on top of it. And you see a really confident Gruev and he's fluid a little bit. But when the opposition get into it, and I've noticed this last season, and I was wondering, I've ever thought of this before, but I wonder when the opposition's getting into it a little bit more, the risks go a little bit. Those passes between the lines go. The directness, the forward thinking goes. And he starts to revert to this player who is just a very, very, very lateral player, of which you could get 500 EFL football players replicating, because it's not difficult what he does at that point. It's side, it's backwards. So you don't then get anything from him. So as a manager, you probably look at that and think, right, within 50 minutes, this isn't changing here. Okay, Leeds are a little bit on top, but we could really punish them with a forward-thinking midfielder. We're probably going to be getting more free kicks because the opposition here are getting too tight to us, but they can't deal with our quick, agile players. So you probably want someone who's very, very good on set pieces, a forward thinker, and someone who's going to get a shot off goal. I've got that on the bench. What I'll do is I'll wait till the 71st minute. That's what I'll do. Yeah, I'll wait till that period, and we'll let this carry on going, which I did until that period of, and then I made the substitutions. This is what I'm saying with Daniel Farke. This is the whole problem with him, which I don't want to get into again because I've murked it so much on every video I've made post game so far. But you can see the freaking same things again. But when you look at Joe Rothwell, he's lucky that he's got such a built squad that he can bring someone like him off the bench. And genuinely, I think as a more forward role, or even in that double pivot, he gets us moving, and he's quick. A quick thinker is what we need in these positions. So yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comment section below with that. Look at our last 5 minutes, Connor. It showed how the previous 20, 30 minutes were like slow moving deer in the headlights. Those part 5 we played with purpose. Remember, folks, pay your rent, allow. Yeah, guys, just make sure you're slapping a like on the video. Really appreciate your support, especially if you're getting your thoughts in now. I know we're streaming across about 4 platforms here. Connor, why does DF treat loan players different to perm staff? Rothwell should have started regardless. I agree, Mike. I agree, mate. I genuinely agree. And yeah, he did. Look, Joseph did miss that sitter. Of course he did. Should have scored. Nonto missed the sitter. You know, we were at a point of which I think yesterday we had about how many shots did we have on goal? How many shots did we have on target? How many times did we hit the woodwork? You know, 100%. Pompey had 4 shots on goal and they scored 3. You know, they're the facts. They got away with it. They got away with it, but they still got away with it. Do you know what I mean? So it gets to a point of which now we play a much better West Bromwich Albion side. It won 3-1 away, a very good QPR side yesterday. And I'm not saying we need to win, but we need to win on the board at some point. You know, we want that to happen quickly, don't we? So we get up there. Harv says, Pompey fan here, wouldn't worry too much. We arguably got extremely lucky. You'll turn most teams over. Some of your attacking talent is frightening. Yeah, Harv, you're right. And you are right, mate. You 100% are right. I think the only thing that as a collective, what we see here is we just see some patterns emerging of which we saw last season, mate. So we're trying to, as a fan base, look at that. What can change? How can we change it? Let's not be stubborn with substitutes. Mistime these substitutions as well. Let's see these happen. But 100%. And I want to get onto a positive as well. So Rothwell's a massive positive because you've got artillery when it comes to him on the bench. Another thing, and I keep doing these 3 things, but it should be 10 things. Another thing, Brendan Aronson off the bench. Okay, he came on yesterday, a real mixed bag. He kicked the ball out of play twice. He was bounced off the ball by the fullback twice, one by the byline as well, where the fullback made him look like a little boy again. However, the 3rd goal was a fantastic strike. It has to be said. He turned his body around, switched it, reversed it in the bottom corner, drilled it in, and it was a really good goal. Got us back into it, and it was massive. I was buzzing for him. Look, I'm not a massive fan of Brendan Aronson, but I was buzzing for him. I was so high that he'd scored that goal. I was like, yes, Brendan, fantastic. He scored. Brilliant. Confidence. He's got that goal. He needed it. There was boos. I think if you're booing Brendan Aronson at Ellen, look, we can have a conversation on here about his performances. All right, we can have a conversation about anywhere about his performances. These are the platforms we do it on. Why? And you're a paying customer, I understand. But if you're in the stadium, do you boo him? Why? He's pulling on a Leeds shirt, and you boo him. Why? So I was really happy that he shut them people up, put the ball in the back of the net, and that final. Oh my God, how's he missed? How's it genuinely? You'd have scored. There's nearly 1,250 of you in the building. You'd have all scored. He's thrown goal. Their defense is parted like the sea. This is where halves bang on. They were so lucky. He's missed the target? I'm still watching. I can't watch the game back now. I've watched a little bit of it back, but I can't watch it back because I can't watch that chance again. I still think it's going to go in. I cannot believe he's missed that. And I guess this is what you're going to get with Aronson. That is Aronson's season. That's probably going to happen. Off the bench, there's a real positivity then. Hopefully his confidence is high. I don't know about putting him on the left. I don't know where they put him, to be honest with you. But that Firpo-Aronson link just didn't work in preseason. It doesn't work now, to be honest. But bringing him off the bench, it's going to be a problem for teams because of his energy, his endeavour. If you've got him and James on the pitch at the same time, there's not going to be a mass amount of quality there. But what there is going to be is real pressing ability with Joseph in there as well. But yeah, my God, I don't know how he missed. I'm still reflecting on that now. But what I will say, everyone, and to round this off a little bit, is do we need new bodies? Yes. But as Harv said, the Portsmouth fan there, that team is so good at this level. I think Portsmouth, reflecting on yesterday, I don't think they were great. I don't. But it then wouldn't surprise you if they finished top 10. It genuinely wouldn't surprise you. You see that so many times in the Championship. A newly promoted team coming up, getting a result on the first day, and you're looking at them and going, do you know what? They did still score 3 at Ellen Road. They still had periods of time where they were okay. You know, they were okay. Thunderbolt goal, mistakes for their other 2, obviously, but they'll have said mistakes for our goals. You know, they'd have said, well, we made a mistake here, this phase of the pitch. But ultimately, that team is good enough that you saw. And there's over 1,200 of you in the building right now. Please, and some of you will disagree with me, but do not and I want him to do well. But do not fall for all of this unless we get injuries. Unless we get injuries. But remember, yesterday we had a fully fit squad against a promoted League One side, okay, who did well last season. There shouldn't have been a competition there. They had their best player out as well, with a fully fit side. The defensive frailties, the goalkeeper, and a few of the problematic substitutions again, and the systematic issue and the vibes that we're relying on again is a problem for me. However, I see way more of an upside with this Leeds United side. We've got a plethora of excellent players who are going to get us out the mud, yada, yada, yada. But do not listen to this stuff of we need new bodies. We have to get new bodies. I think it'd help with the depth, of course, but do not look at that side yesterday and think, oh, we need this, we need that, we need this, we need that, we need that. Daniel Farke, it's going to be nice. It would aid the squad depth-wise and quality-wise, of course. And I'd like to see some come in as well, of course. But I'd like to see some of them come in. Do we need some of them in? In my opinion, no. He has right there a squad which is more than good enough to get you promoted. Okay? He had more options than bringing Joe Rothwell, Brendan Aronson, and Joel Peru off the bench on the 70th minute. That is more than good enough, right? Some club, you probably get Portsmouth who'd beg for a Bamford. I'm not saying we want him on the pitch. Of course he's not. But if you didn't want to bring a Bamford on, he's got Joe Gelhardt on there. Okay? He's got that to bring on. And we know we're going to bring in more bodies. We know that's going to happen, obviously. But Daniel Farke, when he gets those bodies in, I don't want to hear anything. I don't want to hear any more excuses from this guy. You have got to, if you don't win the league, mate, you got to finish in the top two because that squad is more than good enough. Brendan Harris is probably worth more than that entire Portsmouth side. Okay, with what we brought him in for. No excuses for me. You know, he's got a good enough squad there, especially if he keeps hold the likes of Willian Jonso. Start Aronson and Rothwell in the back three with Ampadu, Roll on Straug. I'm all for experimenting. But here, this is what I mean. We have the ability. Max Ferber, another one. Another one. This is what you've got off the bench. Some championship teams would die for Sam Byram as a utility man. That off the bench. You know, we have a lot there which he can go at, and a lot in that first team. So it's no worse than Joseph and Connor's miss, but of course, Ryan, listen to me, mate. Oh my God. Nonto's miss was atrocious. We went nuts on the watch along when it happened yesterday. He had to score. It was embarrassing. Had to score. 8 yards out, mate. Okay. Joseph, we've just had 20 minutes on Mateo Joseph. And I think this is my big problem with these live streams, guys. It's when people just don't listen. If you don't agree with me, fine. If you don't listen, that is the most frustrating thing. Joseph had to score yesterday. Bad miss. We've just said his finishing yesterday wasn't great, and we've given excuses for that, okay? But these sort of agenda spinning accounts that come on and just have this notion in the head is madness. Let's have a proper conversation, okay? I can't watch that chance again either. We're already in a relegation battle. Nah, we're not. Hello from Qatar, and watch the game live for the first time. For the first time, I must agree with you. There's a lot of people talking about Raksaki as well. I think we made a bid, Connor, Raksaki as well. Let's have a quick look at what's going on anyway. Someone will tag me. One of you guys will tag me in the tweet. Leeds United have had a 15 million bid rejected for Raksaki. The bid was out the blue from Leeds after Marseille bid for Johnny Rowe. Bloody hell. Right. Okay. So Leeds bid for Raksaki, link in bio. I don't understand. Yeah, look, football changes. We know that. Of course it does. But we know that Jesser Raksaki isn't going to go on a permanent. That's what I understood. I thought that's what we thought. Raksaki's obviously a winger. Interesting. So basically what that is, if that is true, or Leeds are making. However, Palace want to keep him and say, that's not going to work, Leeds. That's not going to work, and that makes me that's really confusing. Right? Okay, let's look at the facts. I know we're not doing this right now, but a bid looks like it's been rejected from Palace for Jesser Raksaki, a winger. If you guys aren't aware, that doesn't make much sense to me because they don't want to let him go. This has been their whole rhetoric throughout the whole window. They don't want to let him go. On top of that, he's pretty much secured with Sheffield United, as we know. He's agreed terms, I believe it is, with Sheffield United. And now it looks like from Palace's side, they're happy with him going to Sheffield United. They don't want to let him go on a permanent. Everybody knows in the footballing world that. That's why Premier League clubs like Southampton and Ipswich are now not going for him on a permanent. So Leeds have gone for him on a permanent for 15 million quid, which is absolutely nothing to Crystal Palace. And they want Raksaki to be part of the first team plans going forward. This is why they're sending him out on loan, because he's so young, but they believe he's a Premier League player. So evidently from that, Leeds, in my opinion, Johnny Rose omitted himself from the side yesterday with Norwich. What I would read between the lines there is Leeds are, look, I don't want to do mass hysteria here, but Leeds, I don't understand everybody, because 15 million gets Johnny Rowe. Maybe Johnny Rose just said, I want to go to Marseille, and that's why he's kept himself out of the side. Maybe that's what's happened. Maybe he's just turned around to Leeds and said, I don't want to come to Leeds. I want to go to Marseille. And that could be the problem. So if he said that, Leeds then have to look at option B. But Raksaki is not going to come to Leeds for 15 million quid. Palace won't accept it. 15 million quid for a Premier League club is nothing as well. Yeah, that's very strange. That's an odd one. The analytics team must value Raksaki higher than Rowe, hence the higher. But at the end of the day, just get the Rowe deal done, please. For me, that instigates that Rowe's not coming. Don't know about you guys. That instigates for me that Rowe's not coming, because he's got himself out of the side yesterday, and Leeds have then just randomly, if this is true, have randomly just gone and put 15 million quid in for Raksaki today or yesterday. So for me, Rose got himself out of the starting lineup for Norwich and the squad yesterday by Marseille's almost to push through a move to Marseille. That's pretty evident if Leeds are now moving on to Raksaki for 15 million quid. Yeah, Wayne, exactly. You know, why... you know, Palace are cashed up after selling Elise. Why would they need to sell Raksaki? And Raksaki's kind of a bit of a replacement as well, Wayne. They just want him a year experience, but we've known this for the full season. This was coming out from the Palace end, mate. This was coming out from the Palace end at the beginning of the window. I'm pretty sure Sky Sports reported it. They don't want to let him go, so they'll let him out on loan. So I don't know why Leeds think their hand's going to be tested by 15 million quid. Maybe they're just going at it and thinking, all right, we'll try test it, not expecting anything. We don't know the likelihood of that, but yeah, interesting. Right, everyone. Well, we'll leave it there. Get your thoughts in the comment section below. We might do something a little bit later on this if I get a little bit more information. But please make sure you slap a like on the video. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. But yeah, as I say, it is Alan Nixon, so maybe don't take it all as gospel. He is part of the Sun, but he's also got a very, very good relationship with South Yorkshire clubs. Always Barnsley, always Doncaster, always Rotherham, always Sheffield United. So my view on that is he might have heard something from the Sheffield United end that they've gone, yeah, we're pretty much in for Raksaki, and Leeds have come in with a massive bid. That's guarantee how that will work, because he's so close with news with Sheffield United. They pretty much rely on him for everything in terms of their support. He's constantly reporting Sheffield United news. And back when Barnsley were in the Championship, he'd always report on Barnsley as well. He feels almost like a South Yorkshire correspondent. So what's evidently happened there for him to get this contact and working in the journalism world, as I'm lucky enough to have done before, someone at Sheffield United has told Alan Nixon that they're confident on getting Raksaki, but Leeds have come in with a massive bid, and that's why he's leaked it. Yeah, I think that's definitely what's happened here. Ina says, I really don't expect us to go in for a player that pulls out the squad on match day. Yeah, there's something for that, mate. There's something definitely for that. And fascinating to see. Anyway, guys, we'll leave it there. We might do a little bit of a discussion on this later on, but it should be interesting to see what happens there. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, everybody. Really appreciate your support here on the One Leeds fan channel. If you want to head on over to Patreon for some bonus bits, you can do. We've got merchandise as well, and a soft launch of something coming very, very soon, which should be on the Patreon immediately. Right, guys, it's been an absolute pleasure, and I will see you in a bit. Cheers.